everyone. We have another special guest with us today, and Cathy is coming to us from Singapore. We don't get to talk to each other often, so a lot of the things that Cathy will be sharing today, this is the first time I'm going to hear it as well. So I'm doubly excited for that. Before we begin, I thought I'd let Cathy talk to us about herself a little bit more. Go ahead, Cathy.
Hey, hi everyone. So I'm Catherine, Cathy for short. Some people call me Cat. I'm married and I've been married for 15 years this year. I have three wonderful boys. They were all born in Singapore, raised here as well. And I'm currently working in Microsoft Singapore.
There. Could you tell us a little bit of your early beginnings of this career? Go
So
ahead.
it's a very colorful
Oh,
career
okay.
history. So before I landed here in Singapore, basically I started my career in the Philippines, of course, in Cebu. So when I graduated, I didn't really, work for Microsoft right away, right? So you start off with, small companies. I graduated with BA psychology in UP Cebu.
Hmm.
And it was really I would have to say that when you choose your career, you have to be very you have to have an idea in your head what you'd like to do. So
Yeah.
for me, when I graduated, I thought to myself, okay, I don't want to be a psychologist like in the clinical psychology path,
Yeah.
because I don't think that's where I'm called for. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go into the organization, so organizational psychology. So,
Okay.
and then I thought to myself, okay, what are my skills? And I said, well, I'm good at speaking. I like talking to people. And I said, okay, I think I like training.
Okay.
But initially, I didn't land a job as, being in training. So first, I landed a job as an HR analyst. So,
Ah,
if you're a psychology graduate, that's the path for you, right? If you want
yeah.
to go organizational psychology, practice organizational psychology, you will have to, like, go into the HR field. So I said, okay, I
Right.
want to be in HR, because then I'll be talking to people, and I like that.
Yes.
Talking to people gives me energy. And so then so I started off as an HR analyst, and at a local company in Cebu. And it's very interesting because I actually got an offer, was an insurance company, and they said, oh, it's a big company,
Mm-hmm.
it's an insurance company in Manila, and they wanted to expand in Cebu, and they said you'll be one of the pioneering employees. So I
Yeah.
said, oh, it sounds exciting. Okay,
Yeah.
let's start that. So in the middle of that, I got a call from Globe
Oh,
Telecom.
okay. Yes.
And Globe said, oh, we have an opportunity for you. It's a training specialist or something like that. I said, well, I already committed to this other job. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be exciting because it'll be big. The recruitment for that was really good. And my mom was like, sounds dodgy. Are you sure you want to go for that? I said, Mom, don't be so negative.
Yeah.
Let's just try it. I said, okay, fine. And after a while, I said, well, I think I'm getting bored with this. It seems like there's like it's going too slow
Yeah.
as like a startup. And I
And
said, okay, it's probably time for me to look for another job.
mm-hmm.
And then I got this offer from another local company, which I told you, as an HR analyst. I said, okay, I'll apply for that, and then I got
Right.
the job.
Mm. Okay.
And my mom was like, I really thought that that opportunity with Globe
The
was
one.
something that you shouldn't, yeah, that
Yeah.
you shouldn't have passed up, because look at you now, you're working in a local company. And she was like, oh, Globe is like a national company
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. Yeah, but you never know. So my
Right.
mom said, actually, eventually through the years, my mom has a hypothesis. He went for this other job for this other company is because so you can meet your soon to be husband. Just not who is not. So I said, yeah, I think so because if I didn't work for that local company, I wouldn't meet him, and we would probably, yeah. So I
Yeah,
was like,
life would be so different. Wow. Okay.
okay,
So
so
how wonderful, Kathy, because there's a little injection of romance pala in your career story. I
yeah.
didn't realize.
I didn't think about it. It was only my mom in retrospect because I think she was like she really felt bad about my decision. Like you know how moms are, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm the eldest, and she was like, your career choice. I'm not really very sure. So eventually, I said, okay. I applied for that job, and I worked there for like I think maybe 2 years, and then there's this other at that time the call center business was booming in Cebu.
Yeah,
So from Manila, call centers started
yeah.
opening up in Cebu as well. And with that, Sykes came into Cebu, and they were doing this massive hiring of pioneer employees. So my friends from the HR team said, hey, let's apply for this
Yeah.
because MNC,
Yeah.
multinational company, maybe greater benefit. Indeed, I tried. I immediately clicked with the managing director,
Good.
and he's like, she's really nice because in from a faith perspective, she's a Marian devotee,
Oh, how
and
wonderful.
kind, and
Yeah.
she's very religious. So I
Yeah.
said, okay, this is an MD after my own heart. So I want to
Yeah.
grow up and be like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was someone who I would consider I look up to.
Yeah.
So I applied for the job and I got accepted, and we were the first few. So it was just me, the managing director, someone from logistics who's happened to be her husband who heads the logistics team, and then there's one admin.
Mm,
So and then there's another one. I think we were five, like
mm.
someone from HR. So five of us, and then we opened this like big office, and then we started hiring call center agent. I was the first trainer. They sent me to Manila to do training, to be trained.
Yeah.
And so it was a really adventure for me, and I really
I
liked that
agree.
job too. So it's like I progressed from training, and then I became a training supervisor, and then when the time came when the call center really expanded in Cebu, my manager said, hey, do you want to go into HR and do something else? We haven't really done any organizational development. There's no OD person in the whole company. Sorry, in the whole, like within Cebu in
Yeah.
the contact center. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm willing to do that. Something new gets me excited. So
Mhm.
I gravitated towards jobs that were startups or something that where I had the freedom to put my imprint or
Influence.
something
Yes.
legacy or something. So I was attracted, and I gravitated towards those kinds of jobs. So I said, okay, let's do that. I'll be the new OD person, like very first OD person in the team or in the company. And then so things were going pretty well. I was planning to get married. My then boyfriend proposed. So I said, okay, let's start planning the wedding. And in the midst of planning our wedding, now my soon to be husband got an offer to come to Singapore for a job in Singapore in his previous company. So I said, okay, that sounds exciting. I
Yeah.
would love that. So in my prayer time, I would say, Lord, I want to try working for an MNC. And so he granted me that prayer request. So that's why I went into like the contact center business and in a call center, right, which is an MNC. It's good because I really met a lot of people
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And so okay, and then I said, okay, after that I said, well, I want to like go global, like
Yeah.
go outside of the Philippines. If I had a chance, you
Next
know
step.
it's like in the back of your mind,
Yeah.
someone just puts in that
Yes.
idea,
Yes.
and I think it's God's will for you, right? If something drives you towards that, I really feel that that is God speaking to you and telling you that hey, maybe you should try this because I have a plan for you there. So I said, okay, I'll do the greatest sacrifice and give up my job in Cebu in the Philippines and go with my husband. Okay, so
Wow.
a week after, I think 1 week plus after our wedding,
Hmm.
we flew to Singapore. So we basically started our wedding, our married
Yeah.
life here
Yeah.
in Singapore, right? So we started a family here, and then at the same time, that's it's also where I started to, when we came here, started applying and got a job. The company was a events was an events organizer company. So they usually did conferences. So they
Oh.
organized conferences in Asia. The company soon wanted to go into training. So instead of just providing or organizing conferences, they wanted to do trainings.
Mhm.
But it was very stressful in a way because I didn't do anything like that before.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to, I was thrown into a role where I had to think about
So
numbers. It
yeah.
was a very steep learning curve for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And it was very stressful too. Like, and if you can imagine, we're supposed to be in the honeymoon stage of our marriage, and
Right.
I go home, very late, and I had to still, like, even though I'm at home, I still have to think about work, and then waking up early in the bus. I have to think about
Wow.
my day's work. It was
Yeah.
very stressful. So, but it's okay because we didn't have children yet, and it was just me and my husband, so it was kind of okay
Yeah.
at first,
Yeah.
right?
Part of the
But I
job.
did exactly, and it's part of the journey. But I learned a lot actually from that stint or career gig, I would have to say, because I learned to, like, talk to different people because I had to invite speakers, right? One of the recruitment agencies, and they said, well, hey, we have an offering for you, or not really an offering, but an opportunity. They said
Right.
it's an MNC, and so they didn't say the company yet. So
Yeah.
they just said it's MNC, and okay, yeah, sure. If it's MNC, come, let's try it out. And then
Yeah.
later on, oh, it's actually for Microsoft, and I said, all the better, right? So, and then they said, but it's gonna be contract based
Mm.
role. I
Mm.
said that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? So my advice for people out there, so don't be too choosy. Like, some people would shy off from contract based jobs,
Yeah.
especially if you're still starting, and if it's a big company, go for it because um the fact that you have that under your belt, that company as in
Mm-hmm.
your list of past employment history, so it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
It weighs. So I
Agree.
said, okay, I will apply for that. And I got accepted. Again, I clicked well with the hiring manager.
Yeah.
And so I got the job. But my point is, right, you don't end up with the job that's really fantastic right away. Some people, yeah, they may, but I mean, I think that when you have to go through that journey, so
Yeah.
to prepare you for that job
Mhm.
that you were supposed to do, which is really amazing. So
Right.
and it was very interesting too because I told you earlier, right? Like I have these like prayer times, and
Yeah.
I asked, hey, right now I feel like I want to go into a role that is like, why can I have a job that's like has work life balance. So I had, so I told the
Qualification.
Lord, yeah, 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 checklist. And then saying, do you think I can have that? I was like telling him in my prayer time. And then lo and behold, there was this offer. And then, when I was working as a contract based employee, I was like, I don't want to be in a contract based job. I
Yeah.
want to be in a FTE role.
Yes.
So I asked the Lord, okay, can you give me an FTE role? This one is not. I feel it's not very stable. And at that time, I got pregnant and gave birth already to two boys.
Oh,
So I
okay.
told myself, hey, I think I need something that's more stable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what happened was, so in answer to that prayer or request, the 2008 financial crisis happened.
Yes. Yes.
So when that hit, what happened was, so I got retrenched. I got laid off, like in my contract, And so I was devastated. I was like really, really down
Yeah.
because, if you're used to um, being successful,
Yes.
getting what you want,
Yes.
and it was a very big blow to my ego.
Yes. Yes.
And so I was really, I don't know if you could call it depressed, but I was like really, really, really down.
Yeah.
Um, but in retrospect, I was really thankful for that experience too, because it helped me realize like what's really important. I mean, my self-esteem, or who I am, the definition of who I am is not based on my job or
Yeah.
where I work,
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful,
So
Kathy.
it's really like, okay, it's a wake up call for me. Like, you don't attach your definition of yourself to your job. And finally got landed a job with Starhub. It's a telco company here
Oh,
in, yeah. And then it was still contract based, but the pay was okay, pay
yeah.
was good. So
Yeah.
before my contract ended, I got an offer from another company. It was a book publishing company, and the role was still in training. I wasn't really happy there. Like, things were not as comfortable
Yeah.
as it used to be in Microsoft. Like, things that I took for granted in a tech company were not available in that company. So
Wow.
I went to God again. I in prayer time, and said, give me another.
We don't
So
want this
so my
anymore.
point is, yeah, don't be afraid to ask, right? And see where God is leading you. So then at that point in time, I said, okay, is there anything out there for me?
Yeah.
And I got a call, like, I think 6 months into the role. I got a call from my ex manager in Microsoft, and
Wow.
she said, hey, so and so resigned, and that was a FTE role. So and so resigned, and do you want to come back? I said, well, of course, why not? And they said, okay, come apply for this role, and the rest was history,
Yeah.
because it was really just, it was like leaving the same team and
Yeah.
then coming back after 2 years or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And Kathy, I really admire how you just first of all you didn't burn bridges.
yeah,
You were hit by something you didn't know how to manage, and yet you took the time to kind of process it and understand it. And look at what it got you, right? It got you back
yeah,
to where you really wanted to be. I have a
exact.
question, Kathy. When you are suddenly faced with something that you're not really prepared for, what is your best advice in dealing with things like that?
So for me, the first one is, don't give up. I mean, take the challenge, accept it, don't shy away from it, because one thing's for sure, you will definitely learn from it,
Right.
right? So, um, and then after that, you try to work at it,
Yeah.
and just think things through, research if you have to. At first I was, so it's interesting, because if ever there's a new role that I needed to do, like, I was very new to these online meetings, for example. And so what I did was, I didn't tell anyone about this, but I'm telling you now.
Yes,
So what
please.
I did, so I will be like confident, is like, I wrote down, like, I did trainings, right? So I wrote down what I'm going to say,
Mm,
so that I'll just have to read it. I won't turn on my camera, but I'll just read what
yeah.
I wanted to say. So
Yeah.
I did that just so
Yeah.
to get myself comfortable with all these online meetings. And I said, well, after that, I didn't need to do that anymore, because I was like confident. I know what to say. I know how to be succinct and clear and
Yeah.
concise
Yeah.
without being flowery and so many
Yeah.
words. So
Kathy, you trained yourself, in other words. It was like a
yes,
right? But
yes,
I
correct.
love how you mentioned that because one of the things that I often come across is building their own confidence. And although it takes time, there are actual steps to it. And what you just
Yes,
told me is really something that you can apply. Right?
mm,
Wonderful,
yes.
Kathy.
small steps doesn't have to be like really big steps and all that, but small steps. And other things that I did was I tried to observe other people. Like this person, I like how she or he presents during meetings.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I will take note of what I like when he speaks.
Yeah.
Then I will try to follow that
Yeah.
in my
Yes.
in my own meetings or in my own presentations. And that's how I developed
Yeah.
and grew.
Yeah.
And I tried to also like enroll for, because in Microsoft, you can just enroll yourself in whatever trainings you want,
Yeah.
and that's fine. So I tried to enroll myself in different kinds of trainings, mostly in communication. And the other thing is that, you know how they say, what is build up your strength.
Yes.
So that one was really, it struck me very well, because that training said, don't focus too much on your weaknesses, because um, you're gonna not go far if you keep on working on your
Yeah.
weaknesses. Just work on your strengths and develop on your strengths, and then you'll really be a star. So I said, okay, what's my strength? So part of it is really introspection and
Yeah.
knowing yourself, like,
Yeah.
through the years. You have to really find out, what are you really good at.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to like really think about it. What am I good at? I'm good at speaking. I'm good at communicating. So I enrolled for courses that dealt with that, like communication, presentation. So I really built on that. And then later on, in as I grew in my career, as I matured,
Yeah.
I started going into storytelling trainings. So how do I tell the story of, like, it's not about just training anymore. So
Yeah.
when my career progressed, and from training I went into project management, and then now I'm now in a role that requires me to engage with stakeholders, or internal clients.
Yeah.
So I also try to learn
Yeah.
um, new skills, and not just, it's true that you can't go anywhere if whatever it is that you've learned before, you will be content with that,
Mm-hmm.
because as you grow you need to learn more things. You
True.
need
Constant
to learn,
development. Yes. Yeah.
correct.
And you know what, Kathy? I love how when you were telling us about how you would go through all these trainings, no, it struck me because one of the things that is apparent is that confidence happens to be also a byproduct of self-development. The
Yes,
more that you really learn, the more that you teach yourself, the more that you expose yourself, you don't realize it, but one day you're gonna find yourself realizing you're a different person. And I think
yes,
the way you were telling it, I think that was what was happening to you. No?
yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's
And,
so
and and
exciting.
also for people not to be afraid to try new things. It's actually, um, it's, I know it's scary at times and exciting too, but don't shy away from it, because it will really help you grow. And if you make mistakes, that's fine, right? I used to be a very OC, like, perfectionist kind of person, so I shied away from committing mistakes and all that. But lately, with all this growth mindset that
Yes,
Microsoft is
yes.
espousing, right? They're really trying to say, and I really find it very enriching, and it's true, right? You can apply it in your job, you can
Yep.
apply it in your personal life, because if you have the growth mindset, you won't be afraid to commit mistakes. You'll see mistakes as, okay, what did I learn from that, and how could I change it? And the mistake itself, like the failure, will really help to ingrain the learning, because you can go for trainings. Let's You can go for trainings, and the trainer will tell you, oh, you need to do this and do that, but unless you really made a mistake and you realize that, oh, that's because I didn't apply like what they said, you should do this, but I didn't do that, so this is where it landed me. So accept failures as your stepping stones for development as well.
For sure, for sure. And I love how you mentioned growth mindset because I espouse that. I really am such a firm believer of that as well. But I love,
Yeah.
Kathy, how you are reminding all of us that really it's a lesson to be learned, and it's
Mm.
something that we take to grow and to develop ourselves. Wonderful.
Yes.
I suppose that some of the people who are listening now are also mothers like you who are
Mm.
in jobs where they are feeling like how am I going to do this? Because the demands of the work, the demands of the business are so great, and the children are still growing up.
Yes.
What is your take on that, Kathy?
It's another story as well because it was also a journey for me. So when I had my first child, I really considered giving up work because the postpartum depression, like
Yes, yes,
going away from your child,
yes,
going to work, and leaving the child with the helper, with the
yes,
nanny,
yes.
and then you get jealous if the child is closer to the nanny than
Oh
yourself.
my God.
I went through that. I think the important thing for that is really have a support system. So one, your husband,
Okay.
you have to really talk to him about it, because don't make any drastic decisions like without talking about it with your husband. Because I really told Noy about it too. I said, well, I really feel depressed. I want to leave work, like,
Yeah.
and he knows, because if I'm set to do something, I really do it. So he had to, I don't think you will be happy being a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm,
So he
mhm,
said, just go through it first, see
mhm.
how, here's what we can do, here's some adjustments and all that. And I was really happy too, because Microsoft as a company was actually quite supportive of mothers. So we have a
Great,
breastfeeding room,
great.
we have the facility and all that. And but other than that, it's really the support system, because and you have to let go too. Like, if you keep on thinking about it, right? And my mom also helped me in this journey, because she told me, it doesn't matter if your child is close to the nanny. It's okay, at least he has someone that loves him, and
Wow.
he loves you, and who cares for him on top of you. Because
Yeah.
you as a mom, you always be a mom,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That was one of the things that I really learned, that I thought about, and I said, yeah. So I let go of
Yeah.
those feelings,
Here.
and just trusted that my son is my son, and it's not about the quantity of time that I have with them, but the quality of
Yeah.
the time that I have with them. So
Wonderful,
that's how
Kathy.
that was my journey too. So it was like up and down as well,
Can
but
imagine. I can
eventually.
imagine. But Kathy, I before leaving Singapore, we saw your sons. We saw how they grew, and I love how close they are and how close you are as a family. So whatever it is you're doing, Kathy, I know there is such a gem in it, and I just wish that a lot of people would hear your story, would hear your piece of the puzzle, so that they can be inspired that you can actually make this work, you know?
Yes,
As we
yes.
close our interview, Kathy, as we go to the end of this, I was wondering, and you've shared so much already, but if you had to talk to your younger self and kind of guide your younger self, what message or messages would you want to share with the younger Kathy?
Mhm. I think I would tell her, don't be afraid to take risks, like, explore your options, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And what else? Pray, pray, pray. Always put God in your, like, in, and don't ever leave him out of your decision making process, whether it be career,
Yeah,
whether it be family.
yeah.
Faith is should always be there. I think it's something that's very important to me.
True, true. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that I would also want to check with you is how did you incorporate that part of your life so seamlessly? I am
Mm.
asking this because a lot of times we remind people, pray, have faith, trust in God. And yet when things kind of go wrong, that's when you kind of also feel like, what am I going to do now? What am I going to
Mm.
do now, when the answer to that question is immediately ask God, what should I be doing now? Not yourself, not anybody else. What is
Yes.
your personal take on that?
I think that's true. true. I mean, you have to have that space and time
Right. Right.
to converse,
Yeah.
with God.
Yeah.
And also I had this journey where I used to compartmentalize because
Okay.
I had a lot of activities, right? So in my younger self, like okay, work is work, church is church, family is family, and but along the way I learned to like integrate them, like
Great.
it's a part of life, it's a way of life. You should not take away faith from the different aspects of what you are doing, right? It should always be there,
Integrated.
because integrated, yes, yeah.
That's a wonderful keyword. I think all of us should take away this word of integrating faith in our life. Very good. And Kathy, I like the practical aspect of making sure that there is time for that. Not
Mm.
waiting for things to happen to make time for prayer.
My friend termed it as you do prayer life, not just prayer time. Like prayer life, you can be riding, you can be driving, and you can converse with God. That's
Yeah.
prayer. Prayer
Yeah.
is basically talking to God and listening to his messages for you. So you could be doing your gym or, jogging
Yeah.
or whatever, and you can think about, you can converse. That's already prayer,
It is.
right? So
It
you
is.
don't have to be like, oh, I have to, oh, no, no, wait first. I need to do prayer
Overthinking.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another thing you want to put pressure on yourself. Of course not.
Correct.
True. That's so true. That's so true. My gosh, Kathy, we have learned so much from you. I really love talking to you. Is there anything else that you want to impart as
Well, for those of you who are watching, I hope that this talk or this video will really inspire you in your career, and never give up. Always have hope that something good is planned for you, and all you have to do is to stick by it, and explore your options, and don't be afraid of challenges. Yeah.
great, great, excellent, Kathy. What a wonderful message. So, guys, you heard it from Kathy all the way from Singapore. If you have any questions for Kathy, comment section below or just message me. I'm sure Kathy will be more than happy to share whatever insights and whatever answers to questions that you may still have. Take care, okay? Bye. Enjoy, Kathy. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.